Warning: there are emotional habits silently making your golden years harder. Habits that might seem harmless on the surface, but underneath, they're quietly draining your joy, your energy, and even your health. And the most surprising part? You might not even know you're holding on to them. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, it's too late to change now, or no one really understands what I'm going through anymore? Maybe you've started to feel more invisible, more distant, like the world's speeding up and you've been quietly left behind. If that sounds even a little familiar, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not stuck. Aging doesn't have to feel heavy. It doesn't have to be a slow fade into silence or loneliness. In fact, these years can be some of the richest, most peaceful, and even most powerful chapters of your life if you let go of a few emotional weights that no longer serve you. In this video, we're going to talk about 4 emotional mistakes that make aging harder. And here's the good news: how you can let them go starting today. No therapy sessions, no long to-do lists, just simple mindset shifts and gentle reminders to help you feel lighter, more free, and more in control of your own story again. Let's start with the first one, and it's a big one. Many people, as they age, begin to carry the weight of regret. It might sneak in during quiet moments, or come flooding back when you see an old photo or hear about someone else's success. You might think, I should have gone back to school, or I wasted too much time in that relationship, or if only I had taken better care of myself back then. Regret is like a slow poison. It doesn't scream, it whispers. And the more we listen, the heavier it gets. But here's something we don't hear enough. Regret only has power when we let it define the present. The past is unchangeable, but what you do with today is still fully in your hands. Every single day you wake up is a new chance to shift your story. Maybe you didn't travel when you were younger. Who says you can't take that train ride now? Maybe you didn't tell someone how much they meant to you. Maybe you still can. Or maybe it's time to write it down for your own healing. Letting go of regret doesn't mean pretending the past was perfect. It means deciding you're not going to let the past control how you feel about yourself today. It's about saying, yes, that happened, but I'm still here and I still matter. Now, closely connected to regret is another emotional trap: comparing yourself to others, especially younger people. This one can creep in subtly. You might scroll through photos online and see people hiking mountains, dancing through cities, starting businesses, and you think, well, I missed my chance. Or maybe you look at your own grandchildren and feel a strange mix of pride and sadness because they have all this energy this time, and you remember when you did too. Comparison is one of the quickest ways to steal the joy from the moment you're living in. And the tricky part, it never ends. Even the people you're comparing yourself to are comparing themselves to someone else. It's a cycle with no finish line. But what if, instead of measuring your life against someone else's, you started measuring it by your own values? Maybe your biggest success this week was getting out of bed and walking around the block. That counts. Maybe you made someone smile today. That counts too. Life isn't a competition, especially not after 60. It's a collection of moments, and every moment you're truly present for is a win. One way to let go of comparison is to actively practice gratitude for your own journey. When you wake up, before you even get out of bed, try this. Put one hand on your heart and ask yourself, what am I proud of today? It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's that you're still learning, still trying, still here. That's more than enough. And here's the secret nobody tells us when we're younger. Peace doesn't come from achievement. It comes from acceptance. You're not failing just because you're aging. You're evolving. And every line on your face, every ache in your knees, every quiet morning you spend in reflection, that's not loss. That's a kind of wisdom no young person can rush toward, no matter how fast they run. So far, we've talked about regret and comparison, 2 emotional habits that feel natural but keep us stuck. And letting go of them isn't about forcing yourself to be positive all the time. It's about noticing when those thoughts come in and gently choosing not to feed them. You might be surprised how much lighter you feel when you stop carrying stories that no longer serve you. Another emotional habit that quietly steals our peace as we grow older is holding on to resentment toward people, situations, even life itself. Maybe someone hurt you years ago, said something cruel, or abandoned you when you needed them most. Or maybe life just didn't turn out the way you had hoped, and a part of you is still carrying the sting of disappointment. It's completely human to feel hurt. Your feelings are valid. But here's something powerful to remember. Resentment doesn't protect you. It imprisons you. While the other person might have moved on, you're the one still carrying the weight. And the longer you hold on to that pain, the more it shapes how you see the world, with bitterness, suspicion, and fear. Letting go of resentment isn't about saying what happened was okay. It's about choosing your freedom over your fury. It's saying, I may never get the apology. I may never get the explanation, but I will not let this control me any longer. Forgiveness, not always of the other person, but of yourself and your own need to keep holding the grudge, is an act of power. It creates space in your heart for peace to grow again. And sometimes The resentment isn't toward others, it's aimed inward, toward yourself. You blame yourself for decisions you made, people you trusted, things you didn't say. But punishing yourself over and over doesn't change the past. What it does is block the joy and self-love you deserve now. So if you've been carrying anger or guilt, ask yourself gently, is this helping me move forward or is it holding me back? Start small. Maybe you write a letter you'll never send. Maybe you talk to a trusted friend or counselor. Maybe you simply speak the words aloud, I'm ready to let this go. I want peace more than I want punishment. That one decision can change everything. Now let's talk about another emotional trap that often creeps in without us even realizing it. The belief that you're no longer needed, that your best days are behind you, that the world is moving on and there's not much left for you to contribute. This is one of the most dangerous beliefs, not because it's true, but because it feels so real when you're alone or when your routines suddenly shrink. Maybe you retired and don't feel that same sense of purpose. Maybe your children are busy with their own lives. Maybe some friends have moved away or passed on and you find yourself wondering, what now? But here's the truth. Your value isn't tied to your productivity. It's tied to your presence, your wisdom, your perspective, your ability to listen, to love, to teach, to comfort. These are things the world needs, desperately, and nobody else brings them the way you do. Think about this. There are people in your life who feel safer, calmer, and more grounded just because you exist. Maybe it's a neighbor who smiles when they see you on the porch, a grandchild who remembers your stories, a friend who knows you'll pick up the phone when they need to talk. That is real, deep impact, even if it doesn't show up on a paycheck or in applause. So if you've ever felt invisible, I want you to remember something. Just because others don't always see your light doesn't mean it isn't shining. Sometimes your quiet presence is exactly what someone else needs to feel a little less alone in the world. If you feel like your days lack meaning, try this. Find one small thing each morning to look forward to. Maybe it's tending to your plants, calling someone you love, watching the sunrise with your favorite cup of tea. Purpose doesn't have to be big. It just has to be yours. And if you're still searching for a deeper sense of meaning, ask yourself, who can I serve today, even in a small way? Sometimes serving others is the fastest way back to ourselves. Now, none of this is about pretending everything's perfect. Life after 60 comes with real challenges, grief, change, physical limitations, but that's why it's so important to be gentle with yourself, to recognize when certain thoughts are not truth, but habits, and to begin, one step at a time, to replace them with something kinder. You've spent decades taking care of others, showing up, surviving hard days, and building a life. You've earned the right to enjoy peace, and that starts by noticing the emotional weight you're carrying and deciding day by day to put some of it down. There's one more emotional mistake that often hides in plain sight, quietly making our later years more difficult than they need to be, and that is resisting change. It's completely natural to crave comfort, especially as we get older. We've built our routines, our homes, our friendships, and suddenly the world feels like it's changing faster than we can keep up. Technology, culture, even the way people connect, everything is shifting. And sometimes it can feel like you're standing still while the world rushes ahead. You might find yourself thinking, things were better back then, or I just don't understand how people live like this anymore. And those thoughts, while completely understandable, can slowly close you off from new experiences, new people, even new joy. But here's something powerful to consider. Just because something is unfamiliar doesn't mean it's wrong or scary. Change doesn't have to be the enemy. It can actually be a doorway, a way to keep your mind sharp, your spirit curious, and your days full of life. Let's say someone introduces you to a new app or a hobby, or even a new way of cooking something you've made the same way for 40 years. Your first instinct might be to wave it off. That's not for me. But what if you gave it a try, just once? What if, instead of resisting, you leaned in with curiosity? Growth doesn't have to stop just because you've hit a certain number of birthdays. In fact, the moment you decide to stay open, to listen, to explore, to ask questions, is the moment you begin to feel young again. Not in age, but in spirit. And no, that doesn't mean you have to become someone new overnight. It just means you give yourself permission to evolve, to adapt, without fear or shame. You don't lose who you are by growing. You expand who you are. So if you've been clinging tightly to the past because it feels safer, that's okay. But ask yourself this, am I living or am I just replaying? Because while memories are beautiful, your story isn't finished yet. There are still pages waiting to be written, and some of the best chapters might still be ahead if you let them in. Now let's take a breath and think about what we've uncovered together. We talked about regret and how it can quietly steal our joy if we let it control the present. We explored how comparison, especially to younger people, can blind us to the beauty of our own unique path. We looked at resentment and how letting go of it, even just a little, can set us free. And we just talked about how resisting change can keep us stuck, when really change is just another word for life. These emotional habits can feel heavy, But you don't have to carry them all at once or alone. Every small shift matters. Every time you catch yourself judging your past or doubting your worth or shutting out something new, that's a moment you can choose differently. And don't underestimate how powerful those small choices are. They're like tiny keys, unlocking parts of your heart you may have closed off without even realizing it. If you've been feeling weighed down lately, like the world's a little dimmer or the day's a little quieter, just know this: you still have light, you still have a voice, and you still matter. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not invisible. You are in a season of life that deserves just as much celebration, connection, and joy as any other. So here's my invitation to you. Be gentle with yourself. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to someone you love deeply. Encourage yourself. Forgive yourself. Remind yourself every morning that today is a new beginning, no matter what yesterday looked like. And if something in this video spoke to you, if even one thought felt like it lifted a little weight off your shoulders, then hold on to that. Revisit it. Speak it out loud if you need to. You're not just watching a video, you're taking steps back toward your own emotional freedom. That's no small thing. I'd love to hear from you. If there's something you've been working on letting go of, or if you found peace in a way that surprised you, share it in the comments below. Your story could be the exact thing someone else needs to hear today. And if you found this helpful, go ahead and give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. We're building a space here that's warm, supportive, and full of wisdom, just like you. Remember, aging doesn't have to mean fading. It can mean shining differently. Quieter, maybe, softer, but no less bright. Here's to peace in your heart and light in your days. Here's to living your best life at any age.